Well, thanks for tuning in, everyone. I'm Lisa Rufiange, and this is a special edition of TV7.ca. I have the pleasure today of sitting down with Jack Shultz. He's the founding member of the Edmonton Cash Cows and Alberta Cash Cows. Jack, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
You've made quite the headlines lately.
Yes, I have.
Well, let's start at the beginning. How did Cash Cows get started? Just for anyone who's been living under a rock here, can you just give me an example of when you all got started and how that came about?
April 2016, I decided that I was sick and tired of seeing all the near accidents and rear enders due to a photo radar operator hiding in the trees, and I wanted to prove to the city and the province that what they're doing to people throughout all the cities, including St. Albert, is they're financially hurting Edmontonians and St. Alberts and under the false pretense of safety, and I just wanted to prove to them that all you need to do is give them a visual warning.
Now, the false pretense of safety is a phrase that you do use quite frequently. Can you explain to me where that comes from, what you mean, and what do you think would need to be taken stepwise to make sure that it is being operated for safety and not for a coffer?
Well, personally, I don't think there's nothing that I could say that's going to produce safety in regards to it. The reason I say that it's under the false pretense of safety is because photo radar, they take a picture, they see the crime being committed, but yet then they take a picture or a video of the said crime being committed, but yet they let the crime continue for up to 10 days, jeopardizing my loved ones as well as yours. There's no safety measure. How do you send it? If I'm speeding today in a school zone, and you send me a ticket 10 days from now, how did that justify my speeding within those next 10 days? It just doesn't make sense. There's nothing safe about it.
Oh, that's a very valid point. Now, your first, well, perhaps not your first, but one of the more notorious brushes with the media for you was the sleeping photo radar operator incident that took place in Taber, Alberta. Can you give me a little bit more information on when that occurred and what was the result of that?
In the summer of 2017, I got a call from a member from my Taber, Alberta Cash Cows group stating that there was a photo radar operator sleeping. I got them to take some video footage and pictures, and we forwarded it to the Taber police chief, and an investigation happened, and then they had to go through the Lethbridge courts. They found the operator guilty of not doing the job he was supposed to be doing, and they released him of his duties and canceled all the tickets. I believe it came to $38,000 in reimbursement.
Wow, that's a fairly substantial number. Now, more recently, of course, many of our viewers are aware of the plight that you got involved in with regards to the same thing, but in Edmonton, the sleeping photo radar operator in October. Now, was that the same situation? What was the result of that?
There was an internal investigation through the Office of Traffic Safety in the province of Alberta, and they found that the officer that was monitoring the school zone at the time was in fact sleeping, and she was dismissed of her position. However, the investigation concluded on December 27th, and that was the day she was fired from her position, but they said that she was released for unrelated reasons, which we're still yet to find out what's occurred.
Sure. Now, if any of our viewers have visited the Edmonton Cash Cows or Alberta Cash Cows Facebook page, you will be able to find substantial videos on there of Jack and his members interacting with photo radar operators. Now, playing the devil's advocate here, I'd like to touch on some people that don't support what you're doing have a tendency to refer to you as a little bit rough around the edges, perhaps not as politically correct as you should be when dealing with photo radar operators. What do you have to say to that?
I have photo radar operators that come to my place regularly. In fact, they come for barbecues, and we discuss the situation that's between themselves and my organization. And we, sorry, I just lost track of what I was.
No, the heated exchanges.
Yeah, there's the only ones that I really have heated exchanges with are the ones that come out at us and are against for what we do, and they say stuff that shouldn't be. And of course, I retaliate and I say some things that I shouldn't do, but you know what? When it comes to the safety of our kids, I don't really care about the political correct side of things. I'm more of this is wrong, and I'm going to tell you how it's wrong, and I really don't care on the impression that people have on me in regards to that, because you know what? I'm trying to hold these people accountable. They have a position to keep our roads safe, and that's just not happening.
Well, you've definitely become a household name, at least in the Edmonton and St. Albert area. Now, it is very chilly outside. Thank you for coming up to St. Albert to talk to us today. If you weren't doing this interview with me today, where would you be right now? What would you be doing?
Well, today is another very cold day. This is a cold snap that we've had for the last 3 days. And for 3 days now, I've been boosting people's cars, which people that are stranded on the side of the road or that I've been doing boosts for $20. And the money that I've generated went all to purchase gloves, hats, jackets, and mitts for the homeless people downtown, as well as Tent City, and just all over the place, like people that don't have the adequate clothing in this weather. We try to keep them warm, and all my proceeds went there. And so far, I think in a day and a half, we came up to about $700 in supplies. So
wow,
it was pretty good.
Nice little dent there.
Yes.
Now you are working with the homeless during this cold snap, like you said.
Yes.
I'd like to touch a little bit, if we could, on some of your background. Just give me a quick view, a glimpse into what's happened within your past and your life to bring you to the point where you advocate for people that are less fortunate and stand up for things when you blatantly think they're wrong. For example, the photo radar issue.
Well, I grew up in, growing up, I was in an abusive home, and I spent a lot of my time in youth detention centers. I left home when I was 13, and I've never looked back. And it led me to a life of living on the streets in the east side of Vancouver, East Hastings, and addicted to cocaine. And then I spent some time in prison for my mistakes. But after seeing my grandma passed away in 2010, it changed my whole outlook on life. And she asked me, before she passed away, she told me to do something good for people in society. And her last thing that she told me was, we were placed on this earth for a purpose, and that purpose is not just to serve ourselves, but to serve everybody. Now, if you don't serve others, then you really don't have a purpose in life. And you know what? I thought about this comment for the last 10 years, every single day, and I believe in it. Going out and doing the things my family and I do for homeless and the people in need, it's really needed, and I understand that.
So aside from the boosting of people's vehicles for the homeless, what other charitable events do you put on? Have there been any businesses get on board?
Oh yes, I have. I've been hosting a dinner called No One Eats Alone. I started this in 2010. It's on behalf of my grandmother. Before she passed away, she'd host dinners for people that didn't have a family to enjoy Christmas dinner with. So if you're good side of law, bad side of law, it just didn't matter. The door was always open. And my first year in 2010, I had 13 people. Last year, I believe I had 197 people in total.
Wow.
And it just gets bigger and bigger every year.
That's fantastic. So there is a little bit of a softer side to the
There is.
the man behind the camera.
Yeah, there is. I mean, helping people is a big part. Like, I mean, I believe St. Albert has an issue with the homeless rate as well, and I just feel that the government's not doing enough that could be done, and we need to step up and deal with the situation now. It's only getting worse. I don't know the stats for St. Albert over this weekend, but prime example for Edmonton, we have buildings that house 200 people a night on these cold streaks. Yesterday, I believe they topped off at 800 people in one
Wow.
building. So, I mean, there is a need to do something, and we need to do it right away.
Yeah. Now, that being said, what is going on for you for the future? What's 2020 look like for you? Where are you taking this?
Well, I want to change the way that our cities are being ran, like Edmonton, St. Albert as well. We need to jump on board and get as much help in the struggle with the homeless, and just help out more. Like, I mean, the people that need the help the most aren't the ones that the governments are focusing on, and I think that is a big mistake, and that's something that we need to address.
Well, I have been made aware that the St. Albert homeless population currently sits at 83, which, if you've walked our streets, that seems unfathomable to me. It's not something you encounter on a day-to-day basis out here in St. Albert, but they do exist. And people like Jack and Alberta Cash Cows, they do tie together and doing great works for the community. So is there anything upcoming on the horizon for the next 6 or so months as far as protests or any interesting phone calls of late?
Well, I got a call from the Alberta Independent Party. They're the only legally registered separatist party in Alberta. I have a luncheon with them on Monday. And my big goal now is I want to get back to the sleeping photo radar that I caught on October 17th. after the video surfaced, she was still being deployed as an operator, and all the way up until December 27th. So now, if she was found to have done something that she shouldn't have been doing, and those are the reasons why she was fired, I'd like to know what's going to happen with all the tickets she gave out in that time frame. If she was found to be doing something that's not justified or against the core values of the Peace Officer Commissioners Act, then I think we need to address all those tickets that were given out by her from October 27th or October 17th to December 27th.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Now, for any of our viewers, if you want to throw your support behind Jack, his primary way of contact is through Facebook, Edmonton Cash Cows, Alberta Cash Cows, or feel free to drop us a line at the station. Jack, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today. It was very important that we, show some of the less political side, I guess, of you and some of the works that you've been doing. And St. Albert, we do have a homeless issue, like I said, that sometimes isn't always first and foremost when you're running down to St. Albert Mall. But hopefully between the works that you're doing, you can be a beacon for those of us in St. Albert community that want to get involved on any other level. And we will all look forward to seeing what the results are of the upcoming inquiry into the sleeping photo radar operator in October.
Perfect. And also with your St. Albert people that are doing fundraisers for the homeless people and stuff like that, you're more than welcome to go on my page on Edmonton Cash Cows and send me a message, because I support anything to do with working with the less fortunate. I'm more than willingly happy to put your guys' fundraiser on my pages.
And he does have quite the following. So again, thank you to Jack Shultz, founding member of Edmonton and Alberta Cash Cows. I'm Lisa Rufiange. Thanks for tuning in. This is TV7.ca News.